Good morning and welcome to our Monday tips. And Heather's back with us again today. Good to have you here, Heather.
Good morning. Good morning.
So we've had a few questions in the group about copyright. So we thought we would have a little chat about that today.
Yes, most definitely, because obviously the questions have been coming from different parts of the world as well. We've had one recently from Canada, one from Malaysia. It's a really good topic to kind of address.
And the key thing with copyright is there are, well, three laws that I'm aware of, three conventions or whatever you want to call them, that have different ways of applying copyright. But right at the start, before we get into anything, I need to clear that Heather and I are not lawyers, right? So we are not giving you legal advice. We are just pointing you, if you like, in the direction of where you can get the kind of information that you need about copyright.
And the most important thing I'd like people to remember is that you do need to mark your work as copyright. You know, you do have a right, if you've created an original work, you do have a right to copyright. And it is, we're not lawyers and we're not giving legal advice, but we will point you in the direction to find the information. But know absolutely that you do need to mark your work as copyright.
And we're referring to literary work. We're not covering music or films or anything else like that. We are purely talking about literary work.
Yes, and the books within that people within the network are working on. So most important thing to know is that copyright exists, that there are, in most countries, there is a way for you to protect your work. It's very important that you do it. It is your responsibility to let people know that it's your original work and that you have copyrighted it. And I'm sure most people will have seen the little C symbol, this little C in a circle that's commonly used, and people can mark their work as copyright using that and dating it with the year. But the big thing I'd like people to know about is the Berne Convention. I would always say to people, first of all, look that up. You know, go to your own government pages and look up copyright rules and laws. Take advice if you need to. But with the Berne Convention, did you say 1886? We were having a wee pre-chat.
Yeah.
It was,
we were 1886. The several countries came together and created the Berne Convention.
And I love the fact that now it's much easier to look at the countries that aren't part of it. It's, you know, most countries in the world have signed up to the Berne Convention. And within that convention, your copyright exists the moment your work is fixed. There's no expectation now. I would just check in some countries, because some countries may expect a registration. But as far as the Berne Convention is concerned, there's no expectation of registration. It is when your work is fixed. And what does that mean?
So I guess once you publish on Amazon, your work is fixed. One of the ways you can fix it is to send yourself an email which has a date on there, and that fixes it.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to mark it copyright, give the year, list yourself as the author, and it's fixed whenever it is, as you say, published, created, shared. So even if you're sharing it with yourself, you can still go back and say, here's a date, my work was completed, it was marked, and it was shared. If it's published and out in the public domain, if people can buy it and access it, then that is fixed.
Yeah. Some of the things that with the Berne Convention, one, you've got the life of the author plus another 50 years afterwards.
As a minimum, yeah, within the convention. And actually within the convention, they also said that people can legally set that, you know, you'd need to get advice around that, but you can also consider what you want your terms to be. But as an absolute minimum, it is your lifetime plus 50 years.
Or it could be 100.
It could
if
be.
you decide you want to set it for 100.
Yeah. And people also set that on death, that's it, the copyright expires, you know, so, but as a minimum, you do have that protection.
Yeah. One of the other things I was looking at is for people who write computer programs, that actually is classed as literary.
Yeah. That was new to me. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah.
So if you're a programmer, I don't know if we've got programmers in the group or not, but your work is classed as literary work, and therefore it is covered under the Berne Convention. You still copyright it. It's for the life of the creator plus the 50 years minimum, or you can arrange for it to be more than that. One of the other things I was going to say is the symbol with the C inside a circle. That symbol is available in your Word document. If you go in there, there is a little section that has symbols, and you can find the copyright as one of the symbols in there if you're using the Word document. I'm not sure if you about any others, because I only ever use Word, but I know that I'm trying to think, it's under insert.
Insert symbol, and then it's usually one of the first, well, maybe that's because we use it so much, but it's usually one of the top ones. It's in there anywhere. Yeah. And put your name or your author name, your pen name, and the year beside it.
Yeah.
And one of the things, Karen, that you share in the desktop publishing course is around the fact that actually if you have also created a new version and you update it and update the year, again, then you're extending that because that's like a new copyright. Yeah.
Yeah. But now they've moved it to whole of life. It's really, you know, it does help to show that it's been copyrighted more modern times, but it's now whole of life plus the 50 years. So it's when you die plus 50 years after that. So it's a good copyright these days. So there are other conventions. One is the TRIPS, which is the TRIPPF, which is for people who are members of the World Trade Organization, not for people, for countries that are members of the World Trade Organization. So there are some slightly different rules around that. So if your country that you're in is not part of the Berne Convention, have a look at the TRIPS to see if they are signed up to that. Many of the countries who are not part of the Berne Convention, and there's not that many now, because I think most of them are signed up. It's more recognized more globally, the Berne Convention. But TRIPS, there are people who have signed up to that one. Sorry, countries, I keep saying people, countries that are signed up to that one. And the other one is the Universal
Copyright Convention.
Yeah. So again, there's different rules for that. And some of the countries who are not signed up to the Berne Convention, they could be either the TRIPS or the Universal Convention. So
and most government websites as well will have good information if you go to your government website. One of the things in the UK to be aware of is, as we were talking about earlier, and it has been put in the network before, but I'll post it back in there again. One of the things we've talked about before is the fact that with Brexit in the UK, where I'm based, United Kingdom, you know, that had to be updated kind of to copyright and legal information in line with the Brexit negotiations. There were some amendments that needed to be put in, but again, that's all freely available on .gov.uk or gov.uk, sorry, if you look it up. But I'll post the link back in.
But most countries will have a website that will tell you whether they are signed up to whichever convention they're signed up to, and if there is anything that you need to do additional for registering a copyright. Some countries have a fee, or used to have a fee. I know with some of my books, because my books sell globally, with some of the countries, I did need to pay a fee to register it in that country. And the registration was for 50 years, I think, is the registration on some of those copyrights that I had. I can't tell you if those copyrights are changed or anything now, because my books get revised quite a bit, because they need to be more up-to-date information, so they do get revised quite regularly. So I do a lot of revisions, and I know the revisions now come under the Berne Convention. So if you are wanting to sell a book overseas, countries that you want to sell in, to make sure they are part of what conventions they are part of, so that you can comply with the rules for those countries. And all I did was, there was a office that I needed to just send a document through. It was a download document. It got filled in, it got sent back together with a payment, and that registered my copyright in those countries. It wasn't difficult at all.
But it's the doing of it, really important to do it. Find out, protect yourself, protect your work. We all invest so much of ourselves into creating our works or helping people create works. So really important that once those works are finished or fixed, as the convention would say, and published, that you do have that copyright protection there.
Yeah. And I think with Amazon, printing on Amazon, you do copyright, but Amazon make sure that things are right for the countries that they sell into as well. So I think they help a little bit with the copywriting. They don't do the copywriting for you, because that's your obligation with the books, but they're not selling in every country. So I think they're controlling a little more of the rules and regulations where they sell books in certain countries.
It's just great to be able to offer your books all round. I know, like for you, you were like global bestseller recently, you know, to see that the books are being offered all over the place, and we're also connected even within the network. You know, if you think how many countries are here, how many people, and all the different countries that are represented. So it's great to see, to get into those marketplaces.
Well, my last book went to #1 in 6 countries. So that's North and Southern Hemisphere countries. So, you know, it was copyrighted. So it was really good to know that that copyright was in place. I have books now that are selling in 15 countries. Japan is one country, India is another country, and those countries are signed up to different conventions.
Yes.
So I'm protected under those conventions. As long as I make sure that I've complied with what's required under those, then I'm protected. So it's interesting. With the world is becoming much smaller. It's easier to market your books globally, and you just need to make sure that you are protecting yourself. There are some countries that do tend to take a book and copy it, make it into movies. You just need to make sure you've got all the protections that you're entitled to. And I would be very careful about that. I know there's some publishing companies. I have seen some comments in some of the in our group actually, where people say they use certain publishers because they can get their books made into movies for them. You need to make sure you've got those copyrights for those books, so that you are protected and you don't lose out on potential income from those movies.
I hope it really helps just to know where to go. If people have any questions, you know, do put them in the chat box and we'll try to clarify anything at all. But the information is there, and I hope this is a really good guide for people where to go to find it. You know, the Berne Convention, TRIPS agreement, Universal Copyright Convention, and your own government, local government websites are the places we'd be sending people to look. There are other people, and it might be worthwhile if people have a question, putting it into the group and asking if other people have navigated it in their own countries. But when it comes to copyright and anything legal, absolutely recommend that people do the research or talk to somebody qualified locally.
Definitely, because you work hard to get that book done, and the last thing you want is someone copying it and putting their name and claiming that it's their work.
Yeah, not being able to do anything about it. Yeah. Get it marked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's anything to do, not just with writing books, but it's anything you do in business. You need to copyright whatever you can copyright. I think that sort of exhausts that a little bit. I think, you know, we've covered just about everything. It's such an in-depth topic that we can only refer you to the right places. So it's those three. It's the Berne Convention, and the Berne Convention is spelled B-E-R-N-E. So it's Berne as in Switzerland. So it's Berne Convention. The other one is TRIPS agreement, which is T-R-I-P-P-S agreement. And the third one is the Universal Copyright Agreement. And if you put either of those three in a search, you'll get information come up on a search engine that will give you the information that you need.
Yes. Make sure you do it. Thanks so much, Karen.
It's a minefield out there, so you just got to do your research and I mean, look at the books that you publish, Heather. You have exactly the same problem. You've just got to make sure that you've got your copyrights in place.
Yeah, and just knowing that that people know, you know, just by saying by or putting your author name on, that's just not enough. You know, you have to mark a copyright, and so important, because that, as you say, the amount of work that goes into a book or any piece of work, we're proud of it and you want to protect it. Yeah.
So I don't think we've got anything else to cover today. Just
Nope.
That's our tip this week. Get your copyrights on your work.
And certainly if you have any comments or anything to add to this, yeah, please do post it in the comments below.
And I will say Heather and I are likely to do a few more videos shortly, because we've got a lot of things planned within the group and a lot of exciting projects that we're working on. So we may be a bit quiet in the background at the moment. We are busy thinking of you and different things that we can help you with. So some pretty exciting things to announce over the next month or two, I would say.
Yeah, looking forward to announcing them, Karen. We'll just get them ready to announce, and then we'll be in touch. But I love seeing people, like we had kind of people sharing about the different services that they offer, different ways they can help. We have book posts on a Wednesday, and on Monday mornings we have the accountability post. So if anybody wants a wee bit of accountability, a wee bit of support, I know I've put my one in there this morning, then that would be great if you just follow the feed.
Yeah. And we're there to help. So if you've got questions, let us know, or like Heather said, use the feeds. We have a promotion one on a Wednesday for books, and we have a promotion one for services for the literary industry. So great. Thank you, Heather.
Thanks so much, Karen. Thank you.
Catch up again next week for the next lot of tips.
Talk to you then.